Hello everyone, this is Russ Sabella with the Florida School Counselor Association, and welcome to our webinar, Increasing Male Involvement and Engaging Families at Your School. We have a special guest to cover this very important topic. We have Brian Deming from AllPro Dad. I'm going to have Brian introduce himself in just a few seconds. I did want to let you know that this session is being recorded, and the replay will be up here usually within the next day. We'll also have any other handouts or PowerPoints available to you. The other thing you need to know is that we are monitoring both the questions and the chat area. So if at any time you have a question or a comment, please use either of those areas to do that, to ask a question or make a comment. All right, so Brian, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Russ. I really appreciate you all having us on. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Fantastic. Well, we appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you all today. We've had a great growing relationship with Florida School Counselors over the last year or so, and we're fortunate to be at the American School Counselor Association conference earlier this year as well. So really excited about it. I think this is a topic that I know is of great interest to most folks who are involved in schools, which is getting a lot more dads involved and just getting parental involvement increased in general. And that's really what our programs are all about. So as Russ said, let me take a quick step back and just introduce myself so you know who I am and a little bit about what we're here to talk about. And then I'll give you a little background on our organization called Family First, which is the 501c3 organization that is behind the programs we'll talk about, which are AllPro Dad and IMom, as you see on your screen. So again, as Russ said, my name is Brian Deming. With Family First, I'm our Director of School Programs. So my job is really running particular parts of our programs that are school-based programs designed to get parents involved. And within the programs, it's AllPro Dad's Days and IMom Mornings. And as we get into talking about that, you'll understand that those are designed to be monthly breakfast programs that run on the school campus throughout the school year to draw dads and kids and moms and kids under each program respectively to connect with each other. To build relationships and be the best parents they can be, and also connect them to the school. And we'll talk about why that's important, probably things that you all mostly know because of what you do for a living and do every day. But as you probably know, more involved parents lead to better performing kids, both academically and behaviorally. And that's really what we're all about, is doing what we can to connect those parents and kids and lead to better performing people in general, but also better performing students in the school system. So I've been with Family First for a few years now. Even before joining was what we call a team captain, which is the volunteers that lead our AllPro Dad's Day chapters at schools. So I've been involved with Family First running the programs for about 5 years before I came on board, and then I've been here doing this for my day job too. So I tell people all the time I'm one of the blessed ones that gets to talk about turning a volunteer passion into a day job. And get to do this every day when I willingly did it as just a volunteer before. So great opportunity for me and something I'm very excited about. As Russ said, we are taking questions that you guys can put in the chat room or type on, so please feel free to do that as we go. Typically do these presentations in a live setting where it's a little easier to read the audience and respond and answer questions, but hopefully it will still come across well in a webinar form, and we just ask you all to please chime in with any questions, and if I don't see them, Russ will interrupt me and we'll make sure we can talk through the questions and answers as we go. Obviously, we'll have time to do that at the end as well, but I want to encourage you all, if you've got something that's pertinent to whatever is being talked about, to chime in, and we'll do our best to address them as we go. So personal background for me, I've got 2 kids. My daughter's soon to be a sophomore in high school this year when she starts, and my son is a 7th grader, so have been doing the parenting thing and working in the public school system for a long time in a volunteer role with my kids in the PTA and other involvement. So hopefully we'll be able to put this in a good perspective for you guys and something that will be meaningful to you. And before we do that, I've got a couple of videos I'm going to show. I'm hoping the audio will come across loud and clear, but I want to just give you a couple of insights into why we do what we do and what we're all about as an organization before we jump into talking about the AllPro Dad's Day program in particular. So I'm going to show you a quick video just talking about the importance of dads being involved, and that'll kind of hopefully set the stage for what we're going to talk about. hang on, Russ. I'm not able to get down to buttons to advance this, so don't know why I can't get to that part of my screen.
Hit the little blue star guy down there. Try that. Oh, no, that would be it. Hit the...
There we go.
In a world where fatherhood has been forgotten.
You know, as dads being physically present with our children, we can still be distracted by so many other things, whether it's working at home or answering emails, watching sports on TV. It's so easy to be distracted, even though we're in their physical presence.
Incomplete, and I'm afraid we're going to go over budget, and that's going to cause a big problem.
One program will make a difference.
So what I like about the programming that we have is you just talk for a few minutes, and if I let them go for the rest of the time, they would probably continue to talk. They just need that push.
Schools will be impacted.
The principal is just a total supporter of this program. She knows that an involved dad means better performing kids.
Lives will be changed.
The relationships that you build through AllPro dads are amazing. The dad traffic through the hallways at that school was marginal at best. You count the amount of dads that are walking those hallways now, and you will lose count.
All we need is your energy, your enthusiasm, and your desire to help men become better dads. Sign up and become a team captain for an AllPro Dads Day.
All right, so hopefully that gives you a little sense of why what we do is so important, and getting dads involved is so important. You also saw at the tail end of that Coach Tony Dungy, who some of you I'm sure are familiar with. Tony was part of the founding of AllPro Dad, so he's not just a name and a face that he lends his face to, actually lends his time to us. So little background on how AllPro Dad came to be was when Tony was coaching the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was struggling with being the best dad he could be and not being as present in his kids' lives as his dad was in his life. And so he got connected to Mark Merrill, who's our president here at Family First, and they launched the idea for AllPro Dad as a way to use a sports theme to just get more dads involved in their kids' lives, being as active as they can. And so that was kind of the impetus for AllPro Dad. Tony's still involved to this day. So does a lot to help us and does it all on a volunteer basis. So for those of you who are familiar with what Tony has done in general, this is just one more of those things that he does out of the goodness of his heart because he believes in it, and obviously gives us a great asset to help us reach more dads and more families with the programs we've got. So great asset for us and a big part of what we do. As I mentioned, the programs we're talking about are AllPro Dad and IMom, but the organization behind those is a nonprofit based here in Tampa, Florida, but with a nationwide presence and really worldwide presence with a lot of our online resources called Family First. And so I think it always helps to just give you a little perspective about who Family First is and what we do and why what we do is so important in the lives of families and kids in America. And so I know it's not specific to the school programs, which we'll quickly get into, but I think it's worth seeing. So I've got another quick video I'm going to show you that just gives you a little insight into who we are, and then from there we'll jump right into the AllPro Dads Days in particular.
father will always come first. Sometimes parenting can be a challenge. That's where AllPro Dad comes in.
Hi, I'm Lauren Dungy, ambassador for IMom. IMom has a lot in store to help you get connected with your kids. So let's get started.
Brian, we have a question up here. Are your services available for charter schools as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. They're available in really any setting. So charter schools, public schools, private schools. We actually have some of these programs that we're going to talk about running outside of the school world. So we've got folks that have run them in community centers and churches. So they are ideally designed to be in school, but have run in other settings. But certainly charter schools is no problem at all.
Very good, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize if the videos are choppy at all. Hopefully they're coming across fairly clearly, but I know there's sometimes an issue with that. But hopefully you just at least get a picture for what we're all about and why it's so important that that we're doing what we're doing to try to strengthen the families and families in America and in the school settings as well. And so I want to kind of jump into specifically on the father involvement or the male involvement side, which I'm sure you all know firsthand is usually the biggest issue in the school system, and we see this everywhere we go. Certainly see it in the PTA world as well, that there just are a lot more moms involved and not as many dads. Dads sometimes view the school as kind of mom's place to be and assume that's going to happen, and a big part of our focus is trying to change that for the reasons that you see on this slide in front of you. And these are statistics that may or may not be new to you, but to me, they are just terribly impactful statistics of what happens when a father is not involved. And I'll say that this is not necessarily just a father, but a father figure. So some male figure involved in the lives of these children makes a huge impact. I believe the last numbers I saw were that about 27 million kids in America go to bed without a father in their home at night. And so this is not an isolated problem to dads not just being involved in schools, but it's dads just not being involved in the lives of their kids in general, and that's something that we're really hoping to change. So you see the numbers here, and they're jaw-dropping if you've never seen them before, that kids without a father figure in the home are twice as likely to drop out of school, twice as likely to repeat a grade. You see how much more significantly they're likely to be poorer they are than their parents. More likely to be incarcerated, and big numbers like 7 times more likely to experience teen pregnancy. And these are not meant to downplay in any way the role of a mom in the kids' lives, but these are the important sides of dad involvement, of a father figure involvement, and it's overwhelming how important having both parents involved whenever you can, and even if it's not typically a traditional intact family, it doesn't mean the parents or father figures can't still be active and bring these things, because the flip side of all these scary statistics is with actively involved fathers, you see all these things turn around, and kids, they learn more in school, they do better, they just have healthier behaviors in terms of emotional and discipline issues, they're more involved in extracurricular activities, and they just enjoy it more. And I think that's the thing that amazes me, is just getting kids to enjoy school more leads to so many fewer problems where they come into school ready to learn with the right attitude of things they want to get done. And so simply having a father figure involved somehow in life can turn all these things around. And our AllPro Dad's Day program is, from our perspective, and maybe selfishly, but we think one of the best and easiest ways to get more dads involved and get them connected not only to their kids and in their lives, but connected at school so that their kids will be better students. And I know as counselors, you all would love anything that can help you to deal with fewer behavioral problems and fewer academic problems so that you can focus on all the positive sides of your job and the opportunity to help kids in ways that aren't just dealing with negative behavior. So we think this is really, really important, and we want to give you some tips on how to get dads involved, and we think our program fits real well with a lot of the things that are on this slide. And some of these things may seem obvious at first, but I think it's important to note some of the specifics of them. And so the first one that says specifically invite fathers and father figures, not just parents. I can tell you as a dad, before I got involved in the PTA and before I got actively involved in my kids' school, I fell victim to this same thought of when I got a phone call or a message at home inviting parents to things. As a dad, I often heard, oh, that means that's something for mom to go to. And I think dads in a lot of cases do make that assumption. And so it's important when you want dads involved that you don't invite parents or families, but you specifically talk about wanting fathers involved and invite them. Also having men invite other men seems to work better. So if I get a call from the father of one of my kids' friends or a buddy of mine that's at the school asking me to get involved, I'm probably more likely to be open to that and get involved, honestly, than if it's the PTA president who happens to be a woman calling me, and not meant to offend any ladies out there, and I know some of this is stereotypical, but as dads sometimes we feel like the calls we get are inviting us to do landscaping or painting or building something, and we're happy to do that, but there's so many more important ways to get men involved, bonding with their kids, and when that ask comes from other men, sometimes they just feel less threatened about it or less concerned about it. Keep it simple. When you're doing events with guys, you don't have to get fancy with it, and so you'll see our program is a pretty simple, straightforward approach to what we do, but would also tell you that you don't need to get in and fancy things up. So I've heard some funny stories from dads who were getting ready to run the program, and some of the moms got involved and said, hey, we're going to have this breakfast program. Let's get tablecloths and centerpieces out and make sure we're good to go. And the dad's reaction was like, we don't need tablecloths. We're okay with paper plates, and we're not sure what to do with the centerpiece. So just take it off the table because we're afraid somebody might eat it if it's sitting there. So keep it simple. And move forward without too much, too much overhead. Try to keep the commitments limited, and you'll see in our program very small time commitments from the dad who's running it as well as the dads who are attending, so we've tried to make it real simple for them to do. Make it fun and non-threatening to men of all cultures and backgrounds. Make sure that you're not inadvertently excluding somebody just in the way you're making the ask or when you schedule the meetings or anything. We do provide our curriculum both in English and Spanish, so we try to make sure it works in any environment, regardless of that dynamic that's at play. But a lot of it is really up to you to adjust in your school setting and make sure that you put the program in a light that just works for the parents and the kids at your school. Focus on the kids is an important one to remember. As much as this program is about getting dads involved, it's not about the dads, it's about the kids. And I think in everything you do, making sure that it's fun for the kids, that they want to be there, and that they sense that this is just a great time to spend with dad rather than any kind of requirement is an important part of any program you do. And I put all these things up here to say I think our program fits all of these, and that's great, but even if you don't decide to proceed with our program, keep these thoughts in mind just as a way of getting more fathers involved and making sure you're doing things in a way that will attract dads. The last one, as silly as it might sound, is have food. Dads will definitely show up for food, so our programs are designed to run over breakfast, and that's part of it. But I would encourage you to look for creative ways to get folks excited about being there. You don't always want to have donuts, but from a health perspective, but if you do that once in a while, that can help. Of quick story on my chapter when I was running this at my kids' school. We were regularly getting every month about 100 to 120 dads in the cafeteria with their kids running through this program that we're going to show you. And at one point that attendance started to dip off a little bit, and we couldn't really figure out why. But we came to the end of the year, and our PTA did their annual Donuts for Dad breakfast gathering, and we had 250 dads show up, so twice as many as we'd ever had in an All-Pro Dads Day. And we said, well, maybe that's the trick. So we started bringing donuts and pastries in for breakfast, and immediately our numbers jumped right back over 100, and we've never looked back since then. So I'd encourage you to think about what you can do to keep it a little bit fresh and exciting and get dads involved. Sometimes I'm not sure who's more excited about the donuts, if it's the dads or the kids, but either way it gets them in the room and keeps them excited about what they're doing. So those are a few things about getting dads involved. The program we're going to show you is all about making pictures like this happen, getting dads with kids, having breakfast, and really engaging in conversations that they might not otherwise engage in. Sometimes dads have trouble knowing exactly how to start a conversation with their kids, or how to open up a particular topic. And so our program is all about trying to give them some better tools to do that, and get them comfortable so they have their conversations with their kids on an ongoing basis. And so we're building a kind of a discipline of doing that at school once a month, but we're hoping that we build a discipline that the dads are just doing this with their kids on a much more regular basis outside of these All-Pro Dads Day breakfasts that will be run at the school, so they keep connecting to each other and keep bonding. So what I'm going to show you is really how our program looks. And I wanted to explain what the purpose of it, how it runs, and what you're seeing. So what you see in front of you right now is a leader's guide. And this is a step-by-step guide to run this monthly All-Pro Dads Day meeting each month throughout the school year. So we produce 10 different topics every school year, so you can run a meeting every month throughout the school year. You've got an extra one to do a summer meeting if you'd like to. But we're really giving you a character building or a character-based lesson each month, focused on something that we think is pertinent for dads and kids. The example you see in front of you is using technology to connect with your kids, and we have a variety of topics that range from the importance of being humble to overcoming fear. We've dealt with bullying, we've dealt with cheating. So we try to deal with things that are somewhat timeless, as well as some things that are timely in the case of this topic about technology. And we're really trying to just give a framework that makes it easy for these conversations to have. And so the picture of these meetings each month is really, you need one dad, or it could be an administrator or a counselor or a teacher that wants to lead the meetings. And that person really is going to facilitate the meeting, but they don't need to be a great public speaker. They don't need to be a fatherhood expert. All they have to do is be comfortable getting in front of a room of people and have a heart for connecting dads to their kids. And so each month, in addition to the curriculum that I'm going to show you, you also get this leader's guide. So as long as a dad can kind of follow the steps 1 through 7 or 8, given the whichever, however the leader's guide is set up for that month, we kind of give you a script for how to introduce the video that's part of the curriculum, how to introduce the topics. And so we try to make it something that is really easy to just show up and run without a whole lot of preparation or nerve-wracking, thought of getting in front of a group of folks. So I'm going to walk through what a typical Dad's Day meeting looks like, and then at the tail end, I think we'll have time. I want to show you a little bit about the tools that we provide for the volunteer leaders, who we call team captains, to run these meetings. And our hope is that we give the school and the team captain everything they need, kind of in a box, if you will, able to run this meeting. So all they have to do is promote it and get dads in the room, and the meeting kind of takes care of itself. So this is the leader's guide, again, that you would have for each topic, 10 topics during the school year. And then this is the beginning of a PowerPoint slide deck that you get, again, for each topic every month throughout the school year also. And we provide a PowerPoint slide deck and video clip. We also provide the discussion cards and some other items that you see in here in printable formats that you can print out in a 4-up fashion and cut them apart and hand them out. So if you don't have as much ability to rely on the technology, you have the printable forms as well. So each meeting really starts with with welcoming the dads and having breakfast. And it doesn't have to be breakfast. It could just be, it could be lunch, it could be dinner, it could be a weekend event. But what we found works the best is over breakfast at the school, so the dads are already at school and engaging with their kids at school and get comfortable being at school. So the meeting starts, and we start every meeting after we've gotten breakfast and settled in with what we call the pride exercise. And this is very simply having the dads stand up one at a time, introduce their kids, and say something they're proud of them for that month. And if you have a smaller crowd, it's great and very powerful that every dad can stand up and introduce his kids to the entire room and say why they're proud of them. If you have a really big crowd, like in my school, when we were running this with 100+ dads, we would have spent the entire morning trying to do this one exercise. So instead, we did it around tables in the cafeteria, so each dad was introducing their kids, 3 or 4 other dads sitting at that table with their kids, but you still get the effect of really publicly recognizing and praising your kids. And as a parent, I can tell you, I have no problem remembering to correct my kids and discipline them when they're not doing what I expect them to do, but sometimes don't always remember to praise them as much as I should for all the things that they do well and why I'm proud of them. So this is kind of a staple of our program that we build in each time, and want to build that discipline of just recognizing your kids and saying something you're proud of them for. So this is a powerful exercise that I've never seen it done where some dad didn't tear in his eye because of what he was saying about his kids, or some kid maybe tearing up or at least smiling ear to ear because they're just so happy to hear and praise them and saying why they're proud of them. So this is all about the kids bonding with dad and feeling proud about the things that they are accomplishing in life. So this will start every meeting, and then we go into the topic. So as you saw in the leader's guide, this particular topic is using technology to connect with your kids, and the leader's guide will give you some things to say to introduce a topic, or the dad can say whatever they might like to, but in this case, we all know technology can kind of get in the way of connecting with our kids, and so you get in the car and your kids jump in the back seat and they've got their their iPod earphones in, and they're in their own world. You can't even have a conversation with them, or they're texting their friends and not being able to connect with you. And so we thought, well, let's talk about how we can use technology to better connect with it and have a conversation with our kids. So each month we queue up the conversation with a quick video that hopefully just gets everybody thinking about the topic. And I'm going to show you that video now. It's a real short one, and then we'll go into the discussion card that follows that. And again, this is just following the flow of the AllPro Dads Day meetings that happen each month. All right, so just a quick video, a fun look at how one dad used technology to have a lot of fun with his son right in their very own backyard. And so I think we're hopefully inspiring a little creativity with dads to go, let's do something fun with technology. And then we move to the discussion card, which is really about dads and kids connecting one-on-one. So whereas the pride exercise is something you do in a bigger group or at least across multiple families because you're praising kids, this is all about getting dads and kids to connect and really just have one-on-one conversations. So as an example, I might say to my kids in this first one way I think technology gets in the way of us connecting is, every time we get in the car, you guys have your earphones on, and I can't even have a conversation with you. And we talk about why that's, why maybe we can change that. Maybe we can put some rules in place about how often that happens, or the fact that we're going to talk first. But as a dad, then I have to know that my kids are going to have a perspective for me as well. So my kids might say, hey, Dad, technology gets in the way of us connecting because you're always on your smartphone checking your email, or even when you're at my baseball practice, you're on the phone doing work stuff, and I have to go, okay, I got to work at changing that too and get those things out of the way. So again, just examples of something that's very timely and topical of having a conversation, and then we try to flip it to the positive of Dad saying, hey, one way I think we use technology to better connect is, and it may be, with older kids, it may be that you want to, text your kids once a day while they're away at school, at college, so they know you're connected with them. For younger kids, it may be, hey, I know what time you get out of school, so I'm going to make a point of calling you from my cell phone as a good use of my phone and talking to you at the end of the school day. But just find ways to connect. And then the last one we thought would just be a little bit of fun for the kids of, hey, Dad, one computer or video game I'd like you to play with me is, and the thing here is, it's not just one game they'd like to play, but one thing they'd like to do with their dad. And so trying to build some conversation that give dads and kids an idea of how to connect as they go forward. And as I said before, different topics every month. Some deal with heavier topics like bullying and cheating. Some are just fun, about laughing and having fun together. But we try to keep it very focused on building good character in the kids, as well as just building relationships with their dad. So this conversation can go on as long as it makes sense in the particular setting or environment you're in. I would tell you the meetings in general can be run in about a half an hour. We suggest leaving an hour on the schedule to run them so that you have time for breakfast and getting settled in, and plenty of time for conversation and things as you go. But anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes, you can run these meetings and get it done so that you're done without taking up too much time, typically prior to the school day. So most schools do not want to do this and sacrifice learning educational time during the school day. So the ideal thing is if school starts at 8, start your breakfast at 7, you're wrapped up by 10 till 8 for the dads to walk their kids to class. But that's just a little bit about the structure of the day. This is something we call our Father Time Challenge, and we try to give the dads and kids a little bit of a creative thought on how to extend the lesson they just talked about beyond the scope of this meeting. So in this case, we produced an online resource about 5 ways to use technology to bond with your kids, and we gave you a link to that on our website so the dads can go connect back to the resource and just get some creative thoughts on what they can do. Typically, we don't use online resources. We try to give you something that just requires nothing more than a little bit of thinking and planning. So as an example, I mentioned we've done the topic being humble in the past, and our video in that case was a video of ESPN's top 10 touchdown dances, which is exactly the opposite of being humble, but teaching kids as much by showing them what not to do as by showing them what to do. And in that case, our Father Time Challenge was to go to a local high school sporting event or other sporting event and just look for examples of the athletes or the coaches or the parents exhibiting good sportsmanship and humility or not exhibiting humility, and talk about why it's important. And so again, just simple things that don't cost much money and are easy to do, but motivating the dads to just spend more time with their kids. So you have a Father Time Challenge each month as well. Then we give you several slides that are designed to do a few different things. This one is about connecting with us at Family First and AllPro Dad. So trying to get the dads to connect with us on Facebook or on our daily play of the day, daily email that you can sign up for. And this is really our just trying to reinforce the fatherhood to these dads, get them a little bit of a daily reminder of the importance of the job they're doing. As I said at the beginning, we're a nonprofit, so all of the resources we provide are free online. There is a small cost for our AllPro Dad's Day curriculum, but we're actually going to waive that for Florida school counselors. I'll talk to you all about that as we get to the end of the presentation as well. But these resources are free for dads to sign up for, and so we just encourage them to get connected to it. The next slide is about connecting them to anything at your school. It's not a standard slide. This is a customizable slide that we just did as an example for the work that we've been doing with the PTA as a way of promoting membership to dads, getting dads specifically involved. And so all this slide has on it when it starts is the AllPro Dad chalkboard background, and you have the ability within each chapter at each school to do anything you want with this slide and put multiple slides in if you'd like to advertise things, to connect the dads with the school. And so in my case, running this at my kids' school, I would have notices about an upcoming fall festival or a family movie night, or whatever activities were going on at the school that we either just wanted people to know about and attend, or that we might be looking for volunteers for. And so this is a way that you all can look at this and say, okay, we've got a once-a-month opportunity to connect to these dads we might not get as much exposure to as we get to the moms. What messages from a school counselor perspective would be meaningful for us to share with dads when they're in the room? And so work with your team captain who's running the meeting to get whatever information you want in these slides, whether it's about upcoming testing or about a particular program that's getting ready to run at the school, whatever the case is. You can do anything you want with this. It's really important from our perspective that you use these slides to integrate this program in your school, because we don't want it to ever be perceived as an outside third-party program coming in and running at your school. We want it to be a program that's run as part of your school, run by a dad or an administrator at the school, and it's really just another program that runs through your PTA or PTO or any organization you might have that gets parents involved.
Brian.
Yes.
Let's see. This might be a good time for just a few questions. I know you mentioned that you'll address cost a little bit later, but there's 3 questions on the board here about the father figure. What if the child does not have a father or father-like figure in their lives? Then what? Could it be that an older brother is an option?
Yep. In our view of that is it could be anything that works for that family. So we've seen older brothers, we've seen uncles, we've seen grandfathers. So, and I would tell you, in every Dad's Day meeting I ever had, I had at least one mom that was there with her kids as well. And so it may have been that there wasn't a dad, or it may have been that Dad was traveling for business and the kids still wanted to be involved with it. So we try to be as inclusive as possible. Mm-hmm. So because the children are there, with a family member, it's really up to that family to say, hey, we're going to send an uncle in, a grandfather, a next-door neighbor who's just a mentor to my kids. Could be there as long as the parents are comfortable with that, with that oversight and supervision. Mm-hmm. And the thing I would tell you that's been successful in some Title I schools in more urban settings has been, where maybe there just aren't as many dads around in that particular school. We've seen male guidance counselors, male teachers, male administrators actually come in and kind of be a mentor to a group of kids in the breakfast meetings. And so they may have 4 or 5 kids that wanted to be there for this and be there, be part of the breakfast, and they serve that role for some period of time. And sometimes that continues for quite a while. Sometimes we'll find that a dad or a father figure of some sort in that kid's life will kind of catch wind of the meetings and say, maybe this is something I should come check out. And so it's a good way to draw those other folks in that might have otherwise been threatened to come to campus. But absolutely, our view of a father figure or a parent figure involved in the meeting is as inclusive as it possibly can.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. And this is a little bit similar. Any from your experiences, suggestions for fathers who have been absent for a while and then want to reconnect with their children? How would that work?
Yeah, I think, like I said on the prior question, sometimes those fathers feel particularly threatened about coming to school. That seems like a hard place to come to reconnect with their kids. So if they have a desire to be connected to their kids and there's not some legal reason that they aren't supposed to be there with their kids, I think it is a great opportunity for them to connect in a very non-threatening environment, because we're saying, look, just come have breakfast with your kids at school. And so you're going to be in an environment with a bunch of other people around, and so you don't have to worry about, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, and this is going to be awkward. Just come have breakfast. We're going to give you the topics to talk about. We're going to give you the kind of fill-in-the-blank discussion questions to get you going. I think it's about as non-threatening of a way that I can think of to get dads connected to their kids. And so we would welcome that in any situation that works for the family. And I think you've got to figure out how to invite those guys is probably the biggest key. How do you reach out to them, and how do you message it to those families to make sure that they know this is maybe an opportunity to make that happen? But I think it's going to be specific to the setting in each school as to what would work there.
Right. Excellent. Very good. Thank you.
You got any other questions right now?
No, there's a question about cost, but I know you're going to get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So we'll hold that one for a second. We'll get there soon. This slide is about just, again, connecting dads back to your next meeting, so making sure they know the next one is coming up. We would suggest you have kind of regularly scheduled meetings. So for me, it was the last Friday of the month every month during the school year. Some guys will do it on the second Tuesday of the month, whatever it is. Build a schedule and just keep on a regular schedule. But this is a way to remind them each meeting, and again, just part of the tool set that we give you. And then we suggest that you do, and this slide says raffle time now. In the new school year, this will say prize time because we got a little feedback that people are nervous about the word raffle. We're not actually raffling anything off. We're not selling raffle tickets. We just suggest that you give out raffle tickets for door prizes and give a couple things away. Dads and kids all like to get stuff, and so we just encourage you to do this because it's part of fun and keeping folks engaged and wanting to come back. We have resources that we can sell you at a discounted price that are a prize pack full of AllPro Dad branded gear. So if you want to give out AllPro Dad duffel bags and shirts and hats and water bottles and things, we have those. A lot of schools and chapters will simply go get donations from the community. So, $10 discount cards at a local restaurant, or movie tickets or free popcorn, that kind of stuff they can get donated. And raffle those things off. So whatever works for you, depending on what budget you have, is fine. You don't have to do it. You can delete this slide, but I'd encourage you to do it just because it's fun for the kids, and everybody likes to get the thought of winning something and keeps them coming back. This is information about us, and I apologize that I did not get this slide updated. I'm noticing I have an old slide. The information is all correct, but the promo code is not, although if you're a PTA school, this one certainly can work for you as well. We are partners with the National PTA, and through that we offer, we waive our curriculum fee for PTA schools, so I'm sure plenty of you are at PTA schools, so you have that code. But what I would ask you to do instead, if you're starting up as a result of what we're doing here with the Florida School Counselors, is a promo code for you all that is FS. So we try to keep them simple so we can remember them and you guys can remember them as well. But when you go to online to that allprodad.com/dadsday, you'll have a little overview video about AllPro Dad's Day. You'll be able to access a set of sample curriculum, so another version of what you just saw in what we walked through. You'll be able to do some research into what schools near you might have Dad's Days, but there'll be a big red button there that says Start a Chapter. And so that's what we're hoping you all will want to do once you find a leader to lead these programs, is go there and click Start a Chapter. When you do that, I think it's the second step of the process, you're going to get to a payment page. And on that page, there's a place to enter a promo code. And I would just ask you to enter the letters FSCA, and that will skip the payment process. You'll just be able to proceed with the registration process to get your chapter created and signed up without having to pay anything. I also want to make sure you all have access to this contact information at the bottom. Our school programs team, which is a team dedicated to supporting these school-based programs, can be reached at this email or this phone number and extension. So we are here 5 days a week, all year long, to try to answer questions, help you with any issues you're having, whether that's walking you through the setup process or helping and support you while you're running the meetings as you're going through the school year. That's our purpose, is to be here and serve you all. So if you have questions, make sure you've got this information in front of you to get back to us, and we'll answer any questions we have. So typically our curriculum is $25 a year, so it's not a big number anyway. That $25 that we ask for is really not intended to cover our costs. It's really intended to make sure that folks signing up to start a chapter are serious about starting it and are committed to running it. And so that's why we're waiving that fee for you all and school counselors, is trusting that if you go out and go through the registration process, you're serious about starting this, you want it to happen, and we're happy to help you get started without worrying about the $25. We do ask in future years if you have the budget to do it, and when it comes time to renew and get access to 10 new curriculum topics for the next school year, pay that $25 at renewal time if you're able. If that's a budget problem or any other kind of problem for the school, we will waive that. We're as a nonprofit, we're very mission-minded, so And so the $25 helps us certainly, but it's not what we're all about. Fortunately, we have some generous partners and donors and others that help us with the cost of the program. So
Brian,
that answers the cost.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it sure did. We've got a few questions that have come in and about 12 or 13 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get to them. Kaylee asks, what are ways we can provide breakfast?
Yeah, that's a great question. Couple things. One, if you have the benefit of the school providing breakfast, that works real well. Here in Hillsborough County, where I'm based, our school system provides free breakfast for every student in the county every day, regardless of need. So it's not just a Title I or a free and reduced meal program. It's every student. So I always had the benefit of knowing I had breakfast built in for the kids as long as I communicate with my cafeteria staff to make it happen. And then they would gladly produce a little extra breakfast platter for the dads. The dads would pay $1.75 or whatever it was for breakfast. So working with the school, I would say, is always option number one. Beyond that, you can work with local restaurants. We've got a great partnership with Chick-fil-A, and so you can go to your local Chick-fil-A operators, and they will most likely support you and help you. They may not give it to you for free, but they will cater breakfast in at a very, very reasonable rate, and they're great partners of ours. So that's one option. And then shops, bagel shops, grocery stores, approaching them about donating yesterday's pastries and things like that is always a good option as well.
Very good ideas. Now, Clifford asks that you mentioned Donuts for Dads, and how does AllPro Dads coexist with the Donuts for Dads event?
Well, Donuts for Dad typically is kind of a once-a-year event for most schools, whereas we're a monthly breakfast. And so what I always did at our school was we ran our breakfast every month, and we got to the end of the school year when the Donuts for Dad event would normally happen. We would just combine them, and Donuts for Dad and AllPro Dad would become the same program. So that worked well. You can do it that way. You can run it separately if you want. But my view is Donuts for Dad is typically kind of a once-a-year event that is mostly just about breakfast, whereas our program is a monthly event that's about breakfast and also bonding with the kids. And so I encourage you to combine those and make this a more regular discipline, but there's certainly no conflict between them.
Yeah, excellent. Now, Danny asks a couple of questions. First, initial methods used to getting fathers involved. I know you mentioned having dads call other dads. What else would you say is a good way to start the ball rolling and getting them there?
Yeah, I think sending things home with the kids that are targeted for dad. So again, things that go home in the backpack tend to fall into mom's hands more often. Make sure it screams out that this is dad-oriented. The materials we provide, which I don't know that we'll have time to get to today, but we provide you customizable flyers and other tools, stickers and things you can print out and send home that have our AllPro Dad logo on them. So kind of has the football sports feel. It's kind of the dark masculine colors. So if you can use those things, I think that will get the attention. But targeting dads in your ask and targeting it through the kids or through the moms. So you can send emails out to whatever list you might have that might be mostly moms, but highlight that, hey, we're starting this new exciting program for getting more dads involved. My experience has been most moms are really more than happy to get that passed on to dad and encourage them to get involved. And once you get the kids connected to it and understanding what fun it is, the kids will be your best advertising source. It's the one day a month I never had to worry about waking my kids up out of bed. They were out before me saying, it's AllPro Dad's Day, let's go, it's ready, time to go. So leverage the kids and the moms to get to the dads.
Oh, those are great ideas. Now, if folks want to ask other questions, just want to remind you we've got about 6 or 7 minutes left, so now would be the time. We have one other question from Danny, who's wondering about your thoughts. Is there a direct reflection of how strong the PTA involvement is at the school and the success of AllPro Dad programs?
If I understand the question correctly, I don't see that a strong PTA necessarily is necessary to produce a strong AllPro Dads program, but I would tell you that running an AllPro Dads program has proven to be great at growing a PTA or growing a PTO. So I think the two work very well together. Certainly if you have any kind of strong parent program, whether it's PTO or PTA or whatever it is, that's going to help you because you've already got some group of engaged parents. But I think our program is different and so simple and non-threatening that it will really attract parents that weren't otherwise involved anyhow, and will get them connected. And so what I saw over the course of time is dads that had never been on campus before, never been in their kids' classrooms before, were now coming every month to my meetings and being part of the school. And after we had run the program for several years, 2 out of our last 3 PTA presidents have been dads, which is almost unheard of in the PTA world. And it's simply because they said, hey, I'm really feeling welcome at the school campus now. I feel connected. I want to be involved. And so I think it will work with or without an active PTA, PTO, but you're going to attract a different group of folks, which usually is a good thing, because as we all know, and oftentimes 20% of the people carry 80% of the workload, and this is one way to help try to change that.
Wonderful. Excellent. By the way, we're getting some compliments here on waiving the fee. That promo code again is FSCA.
Got it.
All right. There are no other questions at this point.
And if there aren't questions, let me run through one more thing quickly, and then we'll take any closing questions. You guys saw on the opening slide AllPro Dad and IMom. So IMom is the motherhood counterpart to AllPro Dad's Day. It just has a different look and feel, but it's very much the same program. So if you're looking for a way to get moms there bonding with their kids, connecting with their kids, different set of 10 different look and feel, but I want to give you a sense of what those slides look like. Completely different color palette as you might expect, and a different look and feel for moms and kids to connect and walk through the same program. The other thing I want to give you a look for here is the graphics you see here are our teen version. So the people images you saw on the AllPro Dad example were kind of animated, graphically drawn cartoon characters, whereas these are more real-looking people. On both AllPro Dad and IMom, you have both versions. We give you this version as what we call a teen version, so that if you're running this in a middle school or a high school, you have graphics that are a little bit more meaningful and relatable to kids that age. So that's the reason for the different look. But I wanted to show you both a teen view and also the IMom view, just to give a sense for that alternative if you want that program as well.
Excellent. We've got another question here, and this might be time for the last one. What type of gifts do you give out, and where do you get them?
Talking about the prize time or the raffle time, they can be, really small gifts in a lot of cases. So again, donations from local businesses. If you have Chick-fil-A's, they're great supporters. They'll give you what they call BOG or Be Our Guest cards, which is for a free soda or a free sandwich. So they'll give you those because they know they'll draw people back into their store. Those are nice giveaways. We've had folks that got a few bucks out of their PTA or PTO budget and went to the dollar store and just bought some miscellaneous stuff that they could do. As I mentioned before, we offer an AllPro Dad prize pack that you can buy if you want. It's $75, but includes a whole bunch of prizes. So it's all stuffed in an AllPro Dad branded duffel bag, but it's T-shirts and hats and car magnets and water bottles, and all those things are things you can give away. So going to a store and buying water bottles, kids love to get those. Think about things that kids would like to get or dads would like to get, and if you can get them donated, that's great. If you've got a little bit of a budget, we can provide some of those for you as well. But they don't have to be big. It's better to have smaller items and more of them so that more people feel like they won something going out of it. But it's not necessary, but it's nice to have.
Very good. All right. Anything else, Brian?
I think that's it. From my perspective, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. I hope this was meaningful. You've got our contact information from the slide you saw before. I would just encourage you, if you've got any questions, to please reach out to us and let us know what we can do to help. We are going to be running a big back-to-school campaign starting here in about 2 weeks. So we'll be running some additional promotions and opportunities to get involved. This is, as you can imagine, the big time for us for getting chapters started coming to the school year. So we're just thrilled about our relationship with Florida School Counselors and excited about continuing it. I know we're going to see you all at your convention in late October, early November when that comes around, but hope to talk to lots of you and get some programs started now even before that. So let us know what we can do to help.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank you, Brian Deming from AllPro Dad and Family First. This webinar will be up online as a replay for you and for others who might want to watch it. If you haven't already, please visit the website, fla-schoolcounselor.org, And as Brian mentioned, we do have our annual convention coming up. October 31st is when we start. All of the links are now online. We've got keynote speakers and program proposals, hotel, and more. Also, if you are enjoying this as a member service, please tell others about Florida School Counselor Association instead of keeping it to yourself. We've got lots of benefits and services, including one of our biggest is, in addition to professional development, which is advocacy. This year we'll be launching our 3rd year for a major legislative campaign, and we do need school counselor support. So if you work with others and they are not members, please encourage them to join. If you need someone from FSCA to speak at your next school counselor meeting, all we need is about 5 or 10 minutes, and we will be glad to do that. Once again, thank you, Brian. Really appreciate it, and thank you all for coming to the webinar, Increasing Male Involvement and Engaging Families at Your School.